Hey, hey. Welcome to another episode. I am Dagny.
And I'm Damali.
And in this episode, we wanted to do something a little different. We have been, of course, as you may know, we plan our topics and stuff ahead of time. And we did have other things we want to do during the session. But while we were discussing it, we took note that there's actually a whole different topic on our heart that we felt it would be, we hope and trust would be helpful for you to hear us reflect on. So, focusing on how we are navigating and balancing in this time that we're in, witnessing the large scale level of atrocities, destruction, and violence in the world right now. Some of those events are getting all of the media and propaganda attention, while other events are not. And we already know the reasons for that, so we don't need to get into it. In this episode, though, we don't want to retell the violence and destruction and genocide that's occurring. Instead, we wanted to focus on and share with you how we both individually have been internalizing what we've been seeing, how we've been feeling, what's been influencing us, and what solutions we have found for ourselves while we're still in it. So we hope and trust that this conversation, because we know you possibly are like us in terms of we care, we feel, we're empaths, and we can see the truth for what it is. And there's no room to claim to be blind or ignorant about it. So we hope and trust this conversation encourages you or inspires you or possibly just gives you space to also feel through what you've been feeling through and understand seeing some examples of how to deal with that. So to start, I want to ask you the question, and you listening can also answer this for yourself. How is your heart?
Well, my heart right now, I think it's a little better than it was some days or weeks ago when the atrocities going on were getting a lot of, I guess, like news play and radio play and all of the play, right? It's definitely, I think there's a big shift going on. I believe it started when COVID first came, the whole COVID pandemic, but it's definitely getting a lot bigger now. And it's definitely affecting me and us, and I'm sure everyone. And yeah, the big empaths here, and I'm a big empath, so I feel very deeply when things are happening, regardless of if I know people or I don't know people. And I took note that I was very maybe not confused, well, I don't know if puzzled is the right word, but like with my emotions are very confuddled, confused. I don't know what word I'm looking for. And I kind of was aware of how I was getting influenced by everything around me. The way people have been posting things that are going on and what they've been saying and all of this. And I felt very, I'm sure like a lot of you guys, I felt very helpless, just very helpless. It seems whenever these huge things happen, it's always like, what can we do? And people are saying, we do this, we do that. But I'm like, what can actually be the most helpful in the situation? And of course, I always, would love like, oh, if we only had the Marvel Avengers here to help us, then we would be fine, right? Or if we all had magical powers, I don't know, but we don't. So it's been, my heart has been very heavy. And I was looking at the news a lot, and I even had to take a break from it because it was affecting my mental health a lot. So to the point where I'd be thinking about it all the time. I can't focus at work. I'm not sleeping well, things like that. There were some crying bouts, of course, because you feel like the world is exploding and it's ending. And what am I supposed to? I'm just one person. What do I do? And so, so I went through different stages. I think some similar and some a little different from when COVID happened and all of that stuff, and a lot of despair, because the horrible things happening and you see it happening and you're just like, what, how do I go and do what I have to do, right? So for me, some ways that I have, I think, been able to help was to think, oh, well, maybe I can look up information. Because me personally, even though I've known about a lot of these current events that are not really current, they've been happening for years, but it's just currently it's all over the media. And I've known about it, but I don't know everything about the conflict. So I took it upon myself to look up information, like go online, look up information, and because like they always say information is power, right? And so I was like, well, because I was like, I don't want to do a thing, I don't want to do the same thing everyone else or other people are doing. I also don't want to, I, I don't know if I don't want to like shock people or trigger people or shame people. Like I just want to see how I can help in my own way. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get some information. So I ended up finding some information. I shared some of the information, and I didn't pick any. There's no like picking any sides or blaming people or anything like that. I was like, okay, here's information. Here's what happened. Here you go, and I shared it. I didn't leave. I even thought about leaving a caption, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna leave a caption. Maybe I don't need one. I'll just say, here's the video. Here's some information. You can look at it if you need to. And after that happened, I was like, okay, I can do that. All right. And then the next thing I heard from other people were certain like companies, and you can put your money where your mouth is. We all know the power of money. We all know that if you pay for things, we should try to be more aware of where the money is going. So I thought about how, oh, okay, well then maybe, okay, so what you're telling me is if I stop paying for a certain item from a company, then that money won't be used to have something to do with or fuel some
Mm-hmm.
conflict that is going on in the world, right? And so I was like, okay, and specifically for certain American companies that were coming out. Of course, I'm in China, so obviously, it's not hard for me not to buy things from America as I'm not there. But I did take note of that, and I heard of other family or friends also trying to be more aware of where their money is, and I was like, okay, it's something I can do. And so yeah, so I feel a bit better. I when I was hearing all the news, I realized I didn't realize how badly it was affecting my mental health. Like when I was watching, I was like, okay, well, I was like, okay, cool, we have to do something. This is really horrible. I have to let people know. Let's go. And knowing about it and okay, being serious about it. And I realized a shift was happening and in my mental health and of course it got to the point where I ended up crying myself to sleep because I was so kind of overwhelmed by everything. And I know that when you're overwhelmed you can't do anything and then you feel like the world's ending, what's the point, like I should just give up and go jump off some, okay, don't do that, don't go jump off on things. But it feels like that, and when that happened and my heart really hurt, like it felt like my heart really hurt, like it physically, like if you would hit your hand and it hurt, it's like my heart hurt.
Mm.
And it was hard to focus at work, and I felt like that doesn't help anyone really. And so after that I took a day to not look at the news. I took a day to just take a break from it, not look at it, and think about what conducive things can I do, what constructive things can I do, kind of thing. And it seemed looking up information helped, and also sharing the information or donating and things like that. And now I feel a bit better because the same with Dagny, like we didn't really plan this podcast. We had other things we're going to talk about and do and everything, but I've thought it would be smart and it would make sense to talk about what's happening right now. Um, and I remember thinking about what should we say? What angle do we talk about the countries? Do we given for like how should we do this podcast so it's not like everyone else's and it's not like a triggering thing or or other problems happen kind of thing. And we figured, okay, maybe we can just talk about what our shifts are, how our feelings are, how our hearts are, how we used our feelings to do something helpful and conducive, and not just spiral into our emotions and we just cry and yell and scream by ourselves or at other people or online. As we've seen, many people get into a lot of arguments and screaming and there's a lot of feelings being thrown at everything. But I think the main thing is that we can't close the door on this anymore. Like we can't pretend that it doesn't affect us. We can't pretend that, oh, it's over there, so it's not going to bother me. Like, well, it's so many miles away, so what does it have to do with me? I have my own problems. And we're realizing that it's directly connected to you, even though you're all the way on some other continent, right? So we can no longer turn our eyes away from it, and it's almost like we're going through some kind of transformation right now, I guess, because a lot of people are seeing a lot, like the dirty laundry is out and we can't put it back kind of thing. It's dirty and it's stinking and it's gross and it's everywhere, and we can't pretend that, oh well, it's not a big deal, or oh, it's not about us. I'm like, no, it is. It's a human thing. It's not just this side against this, kind of thing. And of course, I'm sure if you had, we had another podcast we did about the news and how to look at the news, how to fact check and all of that. And I think at this time more than ever, it's important to fact check and see all the sides and know what you're talking about, because a lot of people would just be saying a lot of hot air and it ends up going everywhere and going viral. And we need to be very aware of what information we're giving, what information we're ingesting, and also being aware of our mental health and not just kind of like being in a comatose, like in a vegetable state because you're so sad you can't do anything, right? And I think it's important that everyone know that you can do something. There's always something you can do. Yes, okay, maybe not go to certain locations. Maybe you're not a superhero. Obviously, we're not. But I think there's always something that you can do. And I think that if we are able to be quiet about that and really think about that and not be too involved in the emotions of it, we can help. And I don't mean you can go through your emotions, but don't just like stay there. And that's what was happening to me. I was feeling really, really down and sad and overwhelmed. And then I'm kind of like, if I'm just sitting here crying, how am I helping? How is this helping anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing. So you have to just go through it, cry, and then move through, and then go and do something that is helpful. I'm still searching for that. I still feel like I want to do more, but I know that you need to take care of your health too, because as we saw, especially with the pandemic, if you don't take care of your health, it affects everything else in your life. So that's kind of how I can start. And I love how we talk about this on Halloween. Happy Halloween and happy Scorpio season.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But yeah, it felt, we didn't plan to do it on Halloween. Okay, just for some reason it ended up happening that way. But that's how I'll first start with that. And what about you, Dagny? How is your heart? How are you doing with all of this going on in the world?
For me, my heart has been feeling, there's been layers to it. For me personally, my heart, like in my inner world, my heart has been feeling really blessed and creative and proud of myself. When I then go into my outer world, my heart has been feeling wary but encouraged. And I think that has been helping me to try my best to maintain a balance of what I'm witnessing and seeing and how I'm feeling about it and how I move through that. So for me, I used to be someone who, when things like this would happen, I would have to stop and just cry about it and really feel like I'm mourning from the violence and the injustice that I'm seeing happening around the world. And constantly being reminded of like, why are we continuing to maintain a world that's so ugly? Like, I don't understand what, like the majority of people don't benefit from this. Why are we continuing this? I've noted, which I'm proud of myself, there's been some progress and growth, because this time around, my response has been very different. I still can view what's happening. I don't necessarily remove it from my feed sort of deal. I will see what's happening, but I take note, the information I'm getting I'm not necessarily looking at two official so-called news outlets for information. I'm actually more interested I'm seeing either from the people who are on the ground sharing what they need or what they're witnessing, or what the bigger picture of what this is, and what people on the ground are doing differently, regardless if they're where the event is happening or outside, and taking note of how they are contributing. And that to me has been, I think, the part of the encouraging part for me, because I feel like this is what's happening this time is very different from anything we've had, at least within our lifetime. You mentioned like, oh, back when 2020 happened, we did have the moment that the rest of the world was kind of looking at was the BLM situation that was happening in the US at that time. And my response at that time was also a very heavy heart and rage and annoyance that we still are fighting this, and what difference are we making? And at that time, I did go into the mode of, well, maybe knowledge would help. So I did go into the mode of, okay, let me curate knowledge for people to get a sense of why we're angry, why we got a lot to be mad about in what's happening. It's not just police brutality, it's a whole system that's an issue. And taking note or calling out that, support needs to be more than just, oh, that's too bad, and then continue on with what you're doing. If you happen to just not be in the country where the event is happening, which is what was somewhat occurring at that time. This time around, my response has been different in that I am knowledgeable in some regards for some of the things that are occurring. I take note of, okay, if there's some holes or other things I can find that, like you noted, are not full of propaganda. They're actually like, historically, this is why this is useless. And it's just continued being uselessly useless. Okay, good. Now I know. But instead, I take note that I feel that this is different. Like this time around, collectively, we are awakening. This is not just, oh, this is just how things are, things happen and that's, whatever, we keep moving and all you can do is just pray about it and that's it. As I know this time around, people are like, no, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. We're going to remove certain people from the pedestals we've put them in, regardless if they were public figures, politicians, celebrities, whatever. And we're now connecting the dots of, wow, this business is also connected to funding this atrocity and this initiative and this organization, like things that I just feel like before it would have taken 50 years for stuff like this to come out after the fact. Like, oh, well, this is why, we destroyed this. It's 50 years later that it comes out, well, actually the conspiracy was true, or actually this and this happened. This time around, I feel we're like leapfrogging in certain ways where in real time while it's happening, we already have the truth that, well, actually certain minerals have been found in this region. So why are we surprised that now chaos is happening there? Or actually there's a connection between that politician with that business, with that lobbyist. And it's a whole spider web of why this is happening. And I just feel like we are now those who are aligned with understanding that we can't continue living like this anymore. We can't continue allowing a system that causes so much pain and unnecessary pain and suffering. We're taking our power back. And I love that we're doing this in a way where it's not that we're causing more destruction. It's not that we want to harm other people in order to, it's not that. It's like, okay, no, actually we're going to remove fund. We're going to just stop purchasing from here. We're going to be knowledgeable and start showing up for other people over there. We're really going to show up because we can't expect somebody else to do it. This is not someone else's problem just because you don't look like who's being oppressed at this moment in time, or you're not that religion, or you're not from that place. And I think that's why through the wariness, my heart feels encouraged, because I feel like, no, this time we're going to get it right, because this time we really are set up to do that. And we already are way in advance compared to how the rest of the world responded to atrocities before. And so when it comes to posting or not posting, talking or not talking, I feel like we all have a very unique role to play in this. And we should hold space for everyone to embody and understand what that role is, instead of insisting you need to do what I'm doing. And if you're not, you must be on the side of the villain in this story. So when it comes to a lot of us who may not feel like we have authority to just pick up the phone and tell people to stop it, and then it just stops, we kind of turn towards, we're going to utilize our social media to amplify what we're feeling or what we're saying. Some of us may only have 2 people watching what we post. Others of us may have thousands of people watching what we post, right? And I feel like that is one layer of a role to play. And if you feel called to do that, it should be with the intention that you feel inspired that this is your role, that your presence through this way is truly amplifying, helping the collective to win, helping for the collective to shift into this new system that we are creating. It should not be from a space of feeling guilt tripped because other people are insisting, other people are posting that if you don't post, that must mean you are on the side of the colonizer or of the chaos or of the bully. Where I don't believe that's the case. I feel some people, their role is to be outside in the streets protesting or doing sit-ins in certain places. Other people's role may be making sure you repost everything you find online. Here's a documentary. Here's the book list. Here's the artist. Here's the phone numbers. That's fine. Other people's role may not be in the public eye initially, right? But they're still contributing to this ripple effect that we're doing. I feel all of us are contributing to this ripple effect. And like you mentioned in terms of feeling like looping or spiraling and helplessness, I feel when we focus on that intention, that all of us individually have a role to play to transmute that energy. Because I don't think anybody is not feeling wary or sad or worried or concerned or anxious about what's going on. But those are not feelings to suppress or spiral in or drown in. The key is to figure out, be open to receive the guidance on how can we transmute that energy into the productivity, the alignment, the role that you need to show up as to contribute to this new system. It's almost like I guess a birthing experience or a transformation experience, either birthing a child, or when a butterfly is transforming from a caterpillar, or like when plants need to push out of the ground, like that aspect of the rebirthing or resurrecting process, like a phoenix. I love the phoenix. Like that. It's like, yes, this is, if you want to use the phoenix as an analogy, this is the death part of it. This is where the ashes part comes in. And there's a lot of feelings with the ashes, but the ashes are still beautiful. Is what are you going to do with those ashes? Because they can create such a beautiful thing afterwards. But the way you transmute the ashes is where you get to that other side. So it's fine to take that day or take that time off or pause to figure out what is your role to transform the ashes. We got to make sure, though, that you got to be consistent and disciplined with that intention, because there is a lot at play to keep you looping in the helplessness, to keep you looping in the ashes, looking at it as if the ashes are just dirt and we should just lay in the dirt, and that's it. And it's like, no, it's not just dirt that won't go anywhere. This dirt is where we're going to mold the new system that we've deserved for a very long time. So I am encouraged by that. It saddens me so much that I'm going to get emotional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sad. Very sad. No. Okay, well, I'll take it from here. I need some time, but
it's okay. I got it.
Yeah,
it saddens me so much.
Yeah.
That so much sacrifice has to happen.
Yeah.
But that sacrifice is not in vain. We can't allow it to be in vain. Okay, you go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to take some time, but yeah, it's a very emotional time, and we're all being affected by it in different ways. Dagny's having her cry. I had my cry like 2 days ago. But yeah, I agree with what you said about, yeah, awakening and rebirth. That's kind of what's happening, and it's true. We can't just let the death and destruction happen and then just leave it. It needs to we need to use our energy to do something good now. We need to try to fix this and realize, okay, we're all awake now. You can't claim you're asleep. We're awake now. So what are you going to do? We can't just go back to sleep and be like, oh, okay, we'll just go to sleep and we wake up, it'll be gone. Like, no, that we have to do something about it. And I like what you said about the different roles that people play. It makes me think of like a basketball game or like a soccer game where not everyone is the goalie, right? Not everyone is the center. Not everyone is the shin guard. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone has their own role that they do in their own way. And I'm not sure if canceling people or shaming people, I'm not sure that is the best way to always get change to happen. I think you can inspire people, you can inspire people to do things, okay, but I don't think shaming people or being like, why didn't you do this, or because you didn't do this is this going to happen to you. Like I don't I mean I understand, yes, people get angry and they have the emotions, and they feel their emotions so much they feel like, oh, you have to do what I'm doing or else. But no, everyone can do different things. And of course money is a big part of it. Like, let's say you don't post and you don't do anything, and all you're doing is not buying things from companies that are funding genocide or other atrocities. That's helpful, right? That's helpful. What they say, put your money where your mouth is, right? And yeah, not just sitting and not do it needs, if it makes you feel sad and it makes you want to do something, that's good. It's not, if there's a whole fight or flight that's going on, and I feel like flight is not, don't do the flight thing. We've been doing the flight thing for many years now, and it's been coming, and it's been pushing, and we've kind of, I think it probably even started before COVID, right? But I think the COVID thing really started opening people's eyes, and I take note of my different reaction to things. I think I've been able to get to a more conducive or helpful place sooner. I think I remember during COVID and the BLM stuff, it took longer for me to calm myself and be able to do something helpful. I felt so angry and annoyed, and I didn't understand why people didn't get it, and why people were making the jokes they were making about it, not understanding, and kind of negating everything, and it doesn't matter, like, and my thing is like, it's like, it doesn't matter if there's holes and things. It doesn't matter that there is a problem. There is a problem. Even if there's like, oh, well, there's some people that they're causing the problem, or people use money to do something bad. Okay, but it's still a problem. And I think we all should do something to help with it. And I think now that it seems that people are awake, and we can no longer be like, oh, well, I mean, and I hear people saying that, being like, oh, well, it's not my problem, or it's in a different country. But I noticed those voices are not as loud as they were during the BLM thing and the COVID, kind of thing. Like the thing about, oh, it's somewhere else. I'm not seeing as much. I see it, but I'm not seeing as much of people just saying like, oh, it has something to do with me. Now it's like, no, it does have to do something with you. You are paying for, your taxes are paying for this problem to happen in another country. It affects you directly, you know? And that shouldn't make you feel like, oh no, the world's going to explode. No, it should make you be like, oh, we should do something. And we no longer, like, we're in a time of history. We can't, because a lot of times like bad things happen until these 10, 20, 30 years. We're like, oh, we should have done this. We could have done that. We would have, if we only knew then. No, now we're like, you have all the information. It's all at your fingertips. It's right there. It's instantaneous. So we can't, we don't have that anymore, kind of thing. And we are seeing the connect. I know you said spider webs. We're seeing the different connections to everything, and how, like, we don't live in a vacuum. Everything affects everything else, and your money is being used, like you are being used. And I like what you said about the spiraling, where it's almost like, I don't know if well, if you're a millennial, you must know, well, I don't know, you might know about the Matrix, probably, maybe, I don't know, but the Matrix was like that. He was just stuck in a Matrix this whole time, thinking that he's just, oh, this is my world, and then you're like, just kidding, it's a lie, and then you have to figure out, where is the lie, where's the truth, right? And I think at the end spoiler alert, I think he figures it out. I think he figures out that it's a lie, and he finds the truth, and he helps someone else get out of the truth. I mean, the last movie wasn't the best movie, but the point still stands. Okay, the point still stands that you have to find out the truth. And the thing is, it's not like in the first Matrix, he didn't really get it. Like he didn't really know what the heck was going on. I could also use Jason Bourne as an example, where at first you didn't know what was going on, you didn't know what was in your head, blah blah blah. But then at the end, Matt Damon's character or Keanu Reeves' character in the movies, they get it, they figure it out, and now they have the information. You can deal with it. That's how we are now. It's not that, oh, I didn't know that the powers that be were doing that with my money. Oh, I didn't know. No, no, no. You know. Now you know. It's right there in front of your face. And so you can, whatever you feel you need to do, you can do it. And if you have to take your day, like you said, and feel your emotions and everything, do that. But the next day be like, okay, boom, I have to do this, or boom, I have to figure out the best way that I can help, or that I can be of service, or live in, be more, because I feel like it can even be an individual thing. Like if we start becoming more kinder to ourselves and kinder to our neighbors, as they say, and we become more aligned with who we are, and more aligned with being our best self, I think that can have like ripple effects, and that can affect everyone in the world, right? Like imagine if everyone dealt like was aligned with themselves and really were in their truth, and really knew like, what what, not so much as a job. I just like, you're just, you just know yourself really well. I think that can help people in general, right? Yeah, and also that whole thing about like, oh, it's happening in some other country, it doesn't affect me, that mindset. I feel like there's echoes everywhere, because even if an atrocity is happening in a different country, something similar, it's not like, it's like to say, oh, violence only happens over there. No, a similar type of violence has happened in your country. Injustice has been all over the world. So it's almost like there's echoes of violence everywhere, right? Like it's like, oh well, that other person's being bullied, so I don't know about bullying, so I'll leave it alone. It's like, no, bullying happens in your country and outside your country. Violence happens in and out, and there's been oppression in all ways, in big ways and small ways. And I'm sure you have, unless you're like a baby, you've seen oppression, you've heard about it, you know what it is, you know what it looks like. So we can't like pretend anymore that we don't know. So, but I think I feel what you're saying too, where I do feel encouraged. It seems more people are, standing up and realizing that, all this stuff, and even like certain news stations that are sharing the information that's going on. I see people in the comments like, no, 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 we're not listening to you. Like we knew we know the way you twisted things. We're not, we're not, everybody knows what's going on. Like this is not, we see you with our own two eyes. We see what you're doing. And it's true, certain big people, whether it be celebrities, politicians, all of them, they everything's out in the open now more than ever. And I think people are tired of being sheep. We're tired of being, we're tired of people using our money or using something of ours to do horrible things that we before did not know about. And I think many people are just like, we're just tired. We're tired, and we and I feel like it's different. I feel like the pandemic and COVID was more of like, there was a lot more, we were helping, but there's a lot more despair. There's a lot more like, oh, everyone's dying, oh, the whole world's exploding, what's going on. I think now there's more of a thought of, okay, what can I do? Like, let me know, like, what can I do, kind of thing. Um, and Yeah, so I would agree with that. And it's sad that we have to go through such horrible things to understand that, because I'm sure a lot of you all know what violence is. We all know, like everyone in school, I'm sure, like we all know what's wrong and what's right. We all know that, right? But yet this horrible wrong stuff keeps on happening, even though we know it, kind of thing. And it's sad that everyone gets sucked in to it. Like it's almost like, oh, I had a fight with this one person, but instead of dealing with that one person, you attack everybody. And it's kind of like, but wait, this person over here had nothing to do with your fight. Why are you bringing everybody into it, right? Yeah, so we know more. A lot of us already knew this was happening. There's a lot of people that we already had the information, we already knew it, but it's kind of like, it would be kind of, it's very easy for people to put it under the rug and stuff like that. So So I know that sometimes the internet and social media can be a a very bad and like not helpful place, and it can be toxic, blah blah blah. But I also think that we have seen that social media can also be used for good, in the sense that everyone gets the information, and it's not easy to get. I mean, it's not hard. Sorry, it's not hard to get information nowadays. Like, it's not hard. It's all there. You can look it up yourself. And for me personally, I sometimes like to look up information that isn't biased. I want to look up, like, just tell me the facts, what happened, what's going on, and then from there I can make my own thoughts about it, right? Because you're hearing both sides saying, "Oh no, this is like people like this person's the villain and this person is the oppressed." And then other people are saying the opposite, that, "Oh no, actually that part A is actually the villain," or but so and you kind of have to know. I feel like you need to know the facts more first and your own information, then you can see, okay, I get why this is happening. And then, like with most things, we all know that sometimes, and this is for all countries, sometimes the government does stuff that the people don't agree with, right? We all know that happens in many countries, right? That just because the government is doing something doesn't mean that like all of the people are for that. Like, no, not necessarily, right? Um, so yeah, I don't think the world is on fire. It looks like it is, but it's not. It's just that there is a fire, but it's not like a fire like it's going to destroy everyone on the earth. We're all going to die. No, it's like a phoenix type fire, right?
There
And
you
we all
go.
know what phoenix is, right? The phoenix. You
Mm-hmm.
like the phoenix, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The phoenix explodes and then it comes back, right? It
Yes.
explodes and comes back. It explodes, kind of thing. So, and it's sad that so much sacrifice has to happen for that to occur. But yeah, I think, and also you can write too, even writing down how you're feeling and writing what you want the world to look like or what you feel the world to look like. I think that could be a form of activism too,
Yes.
right? Like just starting the process of just you thinking and realizing, oh, this is a problem and we need to fix it. Just that is a start of something that could lead to something much bigger, right? So yeah, I guess it's a good thing we did the podcast. This is the way I grappled with it, because I was like, would it get too intense or too deep, and then we can't talk about it? And I didn't want this to become like, oh well, this side is the bad guys, or this side is the good, And also another layer of it is like, if I don't like, for me personally, I don't know every single thing about what's going on. Like, I don't know every single detail. And me myself, with the atrocities happening, like I'm my, like some people are the ethnicity of the people that are going through what they're going through, but some people
Mm-hmm.
are not, right? And I feel like we need to be aware of that too, that everyone feels things differently, whether they have family in these places experiencing the atrocity versus if they don't. And yeah, I don't want to claim to know everything or I'm do what I say. No, it's just we kind of are just sharing how we're feeling, and it's okay to feel how you feel. And then just make sure with that feeling, you can use that energy to do something conducive and helpful. And that can be in different ways. You don't have to do it in one way. You don't have to shame other people. You don't have to just speak your truth and feel what you're feeling, and do something positive with it. But one thing you should not do is go back to sleep. I mean, of
Right.
course, real sleep, yeah, get sleep and come. But what I mean is, don't go to sleep on the issues. Don't be like, oh, this is happening, okay, but and then not like see how you feel. Do something with the energy, so we don't. I mean, I think it's hard to believe that we'll go back. Like, we can't really come back from this anymore, can we? I don't
Mm-hmm.
think. And I mean, ever since COVID, even though it's better and people like thought, oh, the pandemic's over, it still affects me. Like, even though, yes, people are not wearing masks, people aren't getting sick as much, but anytime that I get sick, even if it's not COVID, there's a little part of me like, oh my gosh, is it COVID? Is it what's happening? Like, there's still when people sneeze or cough, my reaction to it is very different than it was before COVID. And just little things like that, I think show that we can't, we it's different. There's a transformation happening, and we're all in this tsunami, and there's no land to look like. We're in it. We're in it, guys. So it's just a matter of how do we use this energy and do good things with it later, and try our very best, and that's all I can say. There's no, I don't have like this is the number one solution to save the world. I don't have that, right? Because there's so many powers that be that are mixed in that, and there's so many all these people that benefit from this violence and horrible stuff that I will never understand. But just being aware of and trying to do good in the ways that we can is what's important, I think. So, and yeah, that's my kind of that's my spiel for now. Dagny, want to say anything else? Like, I feel so drained now.
I know. But no, I think, well, for wrapping up, I think we're at that point. And
yes, you got it all out.
This was a good conversation. And so for you listening, take note if it's possible. Like, I wasn't planning to get emotional, but I think
I saw it. I was like, this is why you didn't want to do it.
Exactly. But it's good though, because that release was needed. And I had been carrying that, because it's true, again, due to the way certain things are going on with people posting and stuff, a lot of us can sometimes feel like we're not sure if it's safe to even express how we're feeling, because some are so into needing to put you in a box of what team are you on, depending on, how you claim you're feeling about it. And I think that makes a lot of us possibly are carrying stuff you didn't realize needs to be released too, in addition to your transmuting this energy. So we were vulnerable with you listening, and maybe that, like what Damali noted, of if writing it out helps that release. If you do have someone you can trust that you can share and these types of conversations with, that might also be helpful for you too, because I think that releasing enables you to gain even more clarity on that role of yours that we've been discussing, of how you can show up and where that release is coming from for you. So we hope you also found this conversation helpful and encouraging. And we want you to know that you are not alone in what you are also feeling or internalizing or going through. And we're going to get to the other end of this. We are going to get to the other side of this. And so we got to maintain, try to keep that encouragement alive, in addition to the other releasing and despair and responsibilities that we're all balancing as well. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for this conversation, Damali, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Yes, thank you. Be blessed, be the phoenix, and just do the best you can. That's all we can say. It's all love and blessings and all of that. And until next time, bye.
Bye. Take care.